they're losing a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm just going to do this off my phone. But anyway, we're live again. I'm sorry if you can start
Okay.
over.
No worries. Hi, everybody. I'm so honored to be, chatting with you guys. Can you guys all hear me okay? I'm not reading what you're saying, so maybe Rick can help me out with that. But, can you guys hear me okay?
I don't know if there's anybody on yet. I just now had to start all over. Hang on, I'll send the...
Okay. I don't know if anybody's on yet.
Yeah, not doing very good in that. So how have you been?
I've been good. I've been good. I'm sorry to throw this at you at the last minute. It's my fault. I have a little bit of a cold, so sorry I sound so raunchy.
Okay.
Or is it?
I just
sent out
I sent out a text telling that we're live again.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll go ahead and start with the hair samples
Okay.
that I sent you.
Okay. So I hope you guys can all hear me. Thank you. I know it's late in a lot of places, but here in sunny Southern California, it's not too late. But I was really honored with a lot of people sending me hair from all different parts of the state. So what I did is I had the hair tested in a different country. So basically, I don't want, when I go to court next year and they ask me well, what if there was a problem with a United States lab, or I don't want to have any kind of excuse. I want to win this case as much as possible. So I'm going to have the stuff translated in English. So and then have it signed and documented so it could be used in court in the United States. But on top of having hair samples here in the United States as well, so they can compare it. But it's pretty funny. I can't disclose what country it's in. Only Mark and Rick knows the place. But it's funny because they called my uncle who's helping me, and they said basically where did you get this hair? They're not understanding what they're testing. And in Mexico, it's a poor country. I'm gonna say it's in Mexico, but they're not used to analyzing stuff like this. So to them, they're fascinated with it. That's what my uncle is helping me with it. He is a professor and he's a doctor and MD in Mexico, and he has a lot of friends and a lot of power over there. So I was able to use his help to analyze some hair. So basically, I wanted to share. A lot of you guys know this, but if you have Sasquatch hair, and Mark Zinsky knows this because he shared it. But basically, if you get a piece of hair and you put it underneath a scope, you will get a good a root and stuff. Don't just get a broken hair. And you put it under a scope and you shine the light on it. It starts to turn colors like green, red, blue, and no other animal they've never seen that before, which is very unusual. But basically, I'm not allowed to say what the DNA results are to the public yet until I go to court next year, and then everything will come out in court. But I wanted to let you guys know that I know some things, and this is things that I know from a personal experience. There are the government is aware of these creatures, and they have a Department of Interior, and basically it's 3 or 4 SUVs that come on your property with a warrant, and they basically will say you can either go to a hotel and we'll put you up in a hotel, and we're going to be here for 12 days, or you can stay in your home, but you can only go from your home to your car. You can't come out in the woods at all while we're here, and basically they have the government's permission to be on your property. So this is a person that I know that I'm going to be going next month to their home. They invited me very graciously. Basically, this person's house is the Skinwalker Ranch, and we're going to have the SWAT team come because one of her rules is you can't go alone. No one can ever be alone on the property, and also you have to have armed guard with you at all times. So we have the SWAT team that's going to join us to protect us. But as you guys all know, who have seen the creatures, how big they are and stuff, honestly, if they want you, like Rick said, they'll take you. There's no issues with it at all. So, if you guys hear scratches, it's my dog. I'm sorry. I have a little puppy, but so anyway, as far as the hair, that's what we're waiting on, and I'm going to be flying to that country in Mexico in July, and I'm going to go and get the hair, and then have it basically translated to use it in court here for next year. So I want you guys to know that this year has been hell. It's been so hard. So those of you who don't know about my story, my daughters and I, we ran into Sasquatch. There was 3 of them. 2 of them ran across my daughter on a trail. And then I kind of went to protect my kids because I thought it was a bear that was in front of them. When I turned a corner, and basically it was an alpha male Sasquatch, and we were face to face. And I was so intrigued with what I was seeing. I was like asking my daughters, like, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" And just to let you guys know how big he was about 1,000 pounds. He was perched about 30 feet up on a tree, and his face looked like a Neanderthal man. Didn't look apish to me at all. I feel the only reason why people say it's ape is because of the hair, but as far as like his structure, the face looked like a man's face. And when I looked at him, we were like eye to eye. He looked like a Neanderthal man, and I basically saw him looking at my kids and looking at me. So, when you love your kids, you're going to die for them, protecting them. And I thought to myself, if you come near us or my kids, I'm not going to win, obviously, but I'm going to do whatever I can to protect my kids. So I whooped at him because he kept watching looking at my kids. And they're like 14. Oh, no. Yeah, my daughter was 14 at the time and 11 years old. What I didn't know is the minute I stopped looking around the woods and didn't pay attention to our surroundings, I took a picture of my teenage daughter. That's when 2 of them ran right in front of my youngest daughter. And my dog froze at that point. And so basically it was a really peaceful experience, but it was super intimidating. And right before we went on this trail, my daughters have never gone really hiking. And I said, look, you don't run from a bear. You don't never show fear ever to an animal if you're afraid, ever. Show and never run unless they're coming at you. And I said, whatever I do, do everything I tell you to do. Don't argue with me. So it was weird that I gave them a lecture and they're rolling their eyes, and then we had an encounter within that hour, So it was an amazing experience, and I believe in my heart that most of the Sasquatch are good, and some of them, of course, are bad, and they get hungry, and I believe everything is on their terms, but I think it was meant to happen for a reason, and I am suing the state of California, and the reason I'm not doing this for money, not even a cent. I'm doing it for public awareness. And this is why I tell people my stories, because if I was walking out of the trail that day with my daughters and I saw a young family coming and they were going to go on a quick little hike, what am I going to say to them? Hey, there's Bigfoot out there. They'll say, this lady's crazy, right? She's nuts. So I want things to change because these creatures they're for real, and I want the public to have a choice to go out there and make a decision if they want to take a chance of going out there. Because we know that there's more than just Sasquatch. There's other things like the rake. And there's a lot of sightings of the rake recently. Dogman. People are talking about Dogman sightings. So I'm not suing for money. I'm suing for basically the fish and game to do their job. So when someone calls and says, I need some help, there's Sasquatch on my property, are you okay? Is everything okay, Rick?
Yeah.
I know I talk a lot. Okay. So basically, so when you guys do call fish and game, say someone needed help, they come to your house and they basically say you saw a bear, and it's so humiliating and hard enough to make that phone call. So when they come and tell you that, it's like a big slap in the face. So that's what happened to me. So then I decided to do something about it, and I worked with a man named Todd Standing. He has a documentary called Discovering Bigfoot on Netflix. And there's a lot of controversy with Todd, and I want to tell everybody, I'm very grateful to him because he flew on his own dime, helped me file for the court case. I wasn't there when he filmed, so there's controversy about his stuff, but I love him and I support him, and I wasn't there when he had his encounters, but I am grateful for his help, for sure. So I will stand by whoever, is loyal, that to me is awesome. It's about helping each other, try to understand these creatures. So I want to let you guys know that the Department of Interior, they are aware of these creatures. They will go on your property and basically say they'll come on your property. They have 3 or 4 SUVs. Half of them are army men with camo with no badges, but they have a ton of weapons. They do have this trigger. It looks like a what's that thing called, Mike? I can't think right now. Parabolic. It looks like a parabolic equipment, and there's a trigger on it. And the strange thing is when they start going out to the woods and you have a dog, the dog will start seizuring, and then they'll say take your dog far away, or either take it off the property. Yeah, like, well,
What's an
like,
Arab? What's that
when
weapon that they have? It sounds like what you're
it,
talking
it, it
about.
it's a device I've heard that they have that will, like, it makes, like, dogs and stuff just, like, basically enable them to walk. It's something that they have, and they trigger it, like, up in the air, and then they push the button. It's like a trigger.
It sounds
And
like
then,
infrasound or something.
yeah, it's something powerful, like, obviously for a dog to, like, react to it, but not humans. It's very interesting because, you know, the government has a lot of knowledge. So, so so like, two of the vans are like army guys with, like, camo, and they have, like, no symbols on their badge and stuff. But
See,
the
I've
interesting
heard
thing
that
is
before from Kumbo Baker. And let me ask
yeah.
you,
Oh,
what color was their cars?
I didn't ask them, but I get no, black. They were black.
Okay.
They were black. Three of them, three black ones, and two of them are just basically weapons and army men for protection, which is funny because when you see one, if you guys have seen one, it's almost comical. Like, if they want you, there's nothing you can do, really. Like, but the other van, they come out and they're like PhDs, physicists, like, everybody has a PhD behind their name. So the government is doing something. They're, like, exploring what's going on here. So it makes me feel happy that they're at least doing something and they're trying to get educated on what these things are.
Do you think
if they don't already know it.
Do you think there'll be disclosure? Or are they going to keep it hidden?
I don't think. I feel that they're going to keep it hidden unless they're planning on, because there's so many sightings now that you guys will agree with me. Like, they're all. The only place I've never heard of a sighting is Hawaii, but, like, they're everywhere. And people say there's like 800. I'm like, no, there's like thousands of there's a lot of clans, and they're to a point now where they're not afraid of people of, like, showing themselves anymore. It's not like 20 years ago. So I think something is happening, you know, for sure.
I think something is too. And it's interesting that you said that they tell people it's bears, because I did a video earlier about. I'm sure you heard about the boy from North Carolina that went missing. I think.
Of course, I called his mom. Yeah.
Okay, and then here's Mother's Day, that boy in Kentucky, which is like 25, 30 miles from me, went missing.
I've heard about that.
Yeah. Some kind of, you know.
So, like, and when I called the fishing game, like, she came by herself. She was very professional, but she did say, like, my supervisor's on the other end. Because I'm pretty, like, boisterous, as you can tell. But she said, I'm not alone here. My supervisor wants to explain to you what you saw. And I'm like, that's interesting. Like, okay. So then I told her my story. I showed her the video. So if you guys don't know about my story, basically when we had the encounter, my daughter behind me had an iPhone, and she videotaped it a couple times. So, and she got, you know, it's not the greatest, like, video. It's on, like, the Patterson, but you could see the creature's head and stuff and chest. So, and I'm standing, like, real face to face, like, with the creature. And I give her, like, a lot of credit because I had a cell phone in my hand and I wanted to videotape it, but I was too scared to point anything at him because I was terrified.
Oh.
I thought I was going to die that day.
Yeah, it's a different story. It's a different story on the other side of that camera. I mean, from the safety of your home, you know, everybody's a professional and can tell you what you should have done. But whenever it's live in the moment, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, definitely. And especially when you have your kids, like, because you'll die for your kids.
Oh,
like,
good night.
It's not like, you know, and it's different when you're in your car, even though they can rip your car apart. It's still, you still feel a little bit of, like, okay, I'm okay, like, we're in the car, you know, but you're really not. But it's just, but basically, she said, okay, so she messaged her supervisor, and it's funny because, like, a couple months before my sighting, there was a guy who went hiking 20 miles from here, where I had my sighting, and he videotaped one, like, swinging off a tree. So then the fishing game get on. They said, well, people, like, they buy chimpanzees and they let them go because then they get too violent, and now we have wild, like, chimps in the woods. Like, come on now. So basically, he messaged her back, texted her back, and then she looked at me and she was like, you saw a bear. And I'm like, no, sweetie, I did not see a bear like this. And then, by the way, I said there was, like, two others that ran right next to my daughter. They were running bipedal, not on boards. So you're telling me there's 3 bears, 3 of them are, like, running bipedal? Come on now. I mean, you could see his ears, his like, face. He had fingers. He scratched his face during the encounter. You know, so And then I found a 22-inch footprint from the tree, like where he jumped from.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't see him jump off the tree, but it was 22 inches. And then we found a 13-inch track of a younger one that ran next to my daughter. So basically, I just want to help people and save lives and let people have a choice to go out there knowing that there's bears, mountain lions, Sasquatch, and other things out there that we're not like, the top of the food chain, so,
yeah, that's my deal. I
think
people ought to at least know about it. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence on these things. If people was to find out about it, who knows what would happen? You know what I mean? If it was made known.
I know.
But I think people do have the right to know
protection.
about it.
I mean, I don't want people going to shoot them and kill them,
right.
But I want them to have a home, But I also want people to be aware, if you have a chance of dying out there if you do go out there. And I'm not saying they're all bad, because I believe in my heart 90% of them are good in my heart.
I do too, but there's always that if. Like you were saying, what if one's injured and like I was talking about earlier, someone's been feeding them candy and stuff and they lost their teeth out or something. We're easy targets out there in the woods. A human would be a lot easier to catch than a deer.
Right? Oh, totally, definitely. And it's we don't know. People say, well, this is an example. I went to Skinwalker Ranch and I was on the property, so I found the kill site, and I found 5 different skulls of heads. So this area, and I have pictures on Facebook. You can see my pictures. So I'm asking myself, is someone dumping animals here so they are feeding the creatures so they don't eat people, or do they kill them and then bring them to this kill site? There's a bunch of bones, skin, hair. So I asked myself, when I didn't pick up a bone and go have it analyzed to see if it's a Sasquatch bone. So when people say well, there's no bears, there's no bones of a Sasquatch. Well, have you ever gone to the woods and found a bone and then had it analyzed to make sure it's not a Sasquatch? No. So how do you know it's not? You know what I mean? So there's just so many. I think it must be hard for some people. They don't want to believe it. It's too sad for them, and I get that. But it's real. I think most of our country is pretty sane to understand that. Okay, you know what? We're not the only planet that have things going on. There's creatures and there's aliens and there's this. And I believe in my heart that what if one of them took my kid that day? I'm gonna call 911 and say, hey, can you please help me? 911, what's your emergency? A Bigfoot just took my daughter. Can you help me? I would have been in prison for murder. I guarantee. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So it's time that they start helping the public instead of laughing at it and making it a big joke, because it's not. So I've had a lot of haters. I've had death threats. I've had the Men in Black. It is true. They do follow you. They do try to intimidate you. But it's for me. I'm willing to die for my cause, just to help people, save lives, watch your children a little bit closer in the woods. Just because the little boy that was missing. He was lucky.
Awareness.
A bear. A bear took care of him for 3 days. But you can see the little boy's face. He's been scratched up and stuff. They're not they're very animalistic. They don't carry their kids they probably drag the kid around and stuff. Who knows what happened.
I don't know. I would think that they, a 2 or 3 year old ain't very, especially to a booger or something. And the boy in Kentucky, he didn't have a mark on him. All he was dehydrated. So it's just all so odd. And thank God that they found the kid and he's all right. But it's just all so odd. But yeah,
so they found this kid. Tell the story about that, because I only read a bit of it. They found him pretty close, after 3 days or something near the home.
Listen, on Mother's Day in the evening, and he was gone for 60 some hours. It was 3 nights and 3 days or something like that, and or almost. And the temperatures here in Kentucky, whenever he went missing, at night, we're down in the lower 40s. I'm talking 41, 42 degrees. And I don't really remember if it rained or not. It probably did, because that's all it ever seems to get done. Well, it was during the week, so it might not have rained. But anyway, they found him 50 foot up on a rock cliff. And this is, he's 22 months old. Okay,
oh my God,
a toddler. They're just really learning to walk. How they gonna walk in rugged country and get 50 foot up a rock cliff.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Well, you know, like the story about like there was like 3 horses dead or in like a pit bull or something, and like one of the horses was like drowned, and they say it was a mountain lion like attack. I'm like,
yeah, that was
so when do mountain lions like drown horses and stuff? Like, we're not that dumb. I'm so, like, please don't insult us with our, you know what I mean?
Well, there's
like,
been a lot of that happening lately. I mean, there was a woman that got attacked, and like a school teacher in I'm thinking it was North Carolina too. I can't remember right off, but she was killed, and then the little boy went missing with the bear, the animal mutilations, 2 different ones in Kentucky, and there was something else too. But I mean, it seems like a lot of it's happened lately. It's just it's odd. I think they're going to have disclosure. I honestly do. I think things are ramping up too much.
And I mean, all the Dogman sightings now, like, it's like it's pretty. I have pictures of. There's this lady. I'm gonna share this with you guys. I won't share her name because she asked me not to. But she's like such a good person, and she's a single mom, and she has an autistic son. So when like we talk to each other, I could hear her son like screaming. It's part of her autistic behavior. So like he will go to the window and start pointing and screaming, like, and he sees them. And she's on the phone with me, and she'll say, "Oh no, like I gotta close the curtains now because one just walked by the window." Like and she said, and you know what I said to her? I said, you know what's so sad is like it's so like common for you now. It's like having like a duck like walk through or a dog. Oh gosh, there's a coyote outside my window. Hold on. This is like, oh, there's like a monster outside my window. Hold on, let me close. Like, she's used to it. It's been like 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, you can't even catch yourself even saying that because you're so used to it. And I said, can you do me a favor? But if you feel unsafe, please don't do it. But can you take a picture for me? Like, you know, she's like, no, Claudia, this is a Dogman. I said, are you sure? She said, yes. It has like a German Shepherd. They're ugly and they're demonic. So basically, she like snapped the picture and she sent it to me. And then she goes, and the weird thing is the Sasquatch, they all hang out together. And I'm like, are you sure they hang out together? You know, because I heard like they don't like each other. You know, there's like stories they don't hang out in the same area. But she was like, no, they're like, I see them together, like in the same like group. So like she said, in fact, one's like sitting by my neighbor's house, and basically her whole like street is abandoned. There's only like 2 houses that people live in that house, in that whole street, for obvious reasons. And she said that house is abandoned, but he sits there every night at 9 o'clock. So I said, okay, can you take a picture? She did, and she sent it to me. And then like I said, so the next day I said, can you send me a picture now, like without the creature, like comparison pictures, you know? And she did, and sure enough, like the creature's not there. So I had the photo analyzed by Robert. I'm sorry, he's a multimillionaire, and he owns like the Skinwalker Ranch, Mr. Bigelow, and basically like. He's called a Team Gate member. He's a friend of mine, and I sent the photo. I said, can you like see if this is like, you know, I just have to make sure it's not like hoaxy or whatever. Uh-huh. He came back. He's like, no, it's a real photo. Like it's not photoshopped, you know. So this is like it's so part of her life, but she's terrified, and she doesn't have the money. She doesn't have the funds to leave. Like she pays like $400 a month, which is nothing for her rent. You know, she can't move out.
Yeah.
So I want to help people like her, like. So if any money comes out of this, I want it to go for people like her that need to like move, you know. And her son is now 15, where she has like 20 deadbolts on the door because he's trying to get out of the house to run at them. And so now she has to like make sure he doesn't escape the house at night to see them, you know. So it's getting and he's getting bigger, so he's a little harder to manage, you know. So there's a lot of stories like that, and I get like a lot of messages from people, and I just want to help them so much, you know. And you kind of feel helpless at times, but.
I know exactly what you mean.
So, yeah. Does anybody have any questions? I know I talk a lot. I'm sorry. I don't mean to talk so much.
The hair, he was talking about the hair a while ago and how it changes colors and stuff. And
yeah.
I don't know if you've ever watched, M.K. Davis did a video on it before about the hair colors. And it's kind of like the fiber optic things. They used to sell the little fiber optic.
Yeah.
Looked like an old plane or something, had the fiber optics coming out of it. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like it's like a plant. It's very awkward. It's very unique, you know.
Yes, it's way different than human hair.
Definitely very different. And to be honest, in my opinion, there's nothing ape about them, in my opinion. But things will come out in the court case and stuff, But if people ask me, like, why did you stop the court case? Well, it's kind of a long story, but basically an attorney called Todd Standing and said, hey, I want to represent Claudia, like in California, but I'm in Texas. So like she needs to stop her case, and then I her pro bono, but I have to get permission to represent her in the state of California, because if she goes in there with her paperwork, they're going to eat her alive, and she's not going to win. And we want to win. So and then I told Todd, so then Todd would call me and tell me, like, you have to stop the court case. And I'm like, no, why isn't he not calling me? That's, like, suspicious, But he's like, Claudia, please trust me. Like, he has 250 employees under him. And basically his message to me was the legal wheels do turn, but they turn very slowly. So you have to be very patient. You only get one chance at this, and you have to wait. So I'm like, oh, gosh. So I stopped the court case without prejudice. And basically, right that next day, he calls me, and he's like, thank you for doing that. We're going to win this. I'm going to put the paperwork in to represent you in the state of California. And just for you guys to know, there's a lot of like, he has to have an office in my county so I can go in there. So he has to, like, rent an office just so I can go in there to represent me. So we can't do things over the phone. So there's a lot of, like, little things that people don't know, and very expensive. But so basically, he stopped calling me. Like, he stopped returning my calls, and he basically lied. And I'm, like, super irritated, but in a way it was a good thing, because I've been very sick this year. A lot of bad things. I had a couple strokes, have a tumor, so I have to get things done quickly. So, but I'm getting prepared. Like, I've been all over the United States now, and I collected hairs, and now they're in different countries. So, and I can't say too much because, I have to wait for the court case, but and if I don't win, at least, like, it's a step in the right direction. We're going towards, like, the government kind of, like, helping people and, helping the creatures too. So at least maybe in 10 years, 5 years, if I don't win, they can come back and look at my case and say, okay, she tried this. Let's try this route, So that's my goal and the whole thing. So, and by the way, I'm not, like, I don't want a cent from anybody. It's just, it all goes to, like, DNA, or it goes to, like, public awareness. And I'm going to be starting a national PTSD group throughout the United States. So when people have bad encounters, it's free to the public. They can go to a meeting, just like AA, and they're going to be, like, the same rules as AA. You can't, like, throw your opinion out there, and because this whole topic of Bigfoot could be very ugly. Like, I'm going to put parentheses. The Bigfoot community can be really ugly. So I want people to go and feel safe, to share their experience.
Yeah, exactly. D. Sims was wondering if you have any advice on how to handle the Men in Black.
Don't show. Well, you know what's? It's funny. Like, he came to my door and tried to intimidate me, and I said, "Are you serious? Like, do you understand that I was in front of a 1,000-pound creature? I'm not gonna say. I'm not trying to be mean, but I was in front of a monster. So you coming with your big muscles, it doesn't intimidate me anymore, because once you've seen something like this, I'm not saying that they can't kill me, because of course I'm human. I could die from a gunshot. But don't try to come to my house and intimidate and scare me, because it's not going to happen. I'm willing to die for my cause. So, but my advice is, I'm just a really tough girl, and I feel like, don't show any fear. Even if you are afraid, fake it until you make it. And basically, like, stand up with what you believe in. Don't be ashamed if somebody laughs at you. In your heart what you've seen. Who cares? Like, I have a lot of haters. It doesn't bother me at all. It really doesn't.
Right.
Because I have a lot of support
there's
too.
There's a difference between believing and knowing, and then people come in and try to tell me all the time that it's my imagination, or that I'm crazy, or whatever. Which I agree, I'm crazy, but it's not my imagination. I'm actually seeing these things, and
you're not crazy.
It's kind of the joke's on them.
But it's like, what? It's like, people are so quick to judge. Like, people have said to her, like me, like, look at her dog walk right in front of, like, the creature. Well, first of all, my dog was a puppy, and by the way, it froze, like, when two of them ran. And I said, like, I don't know why my dog didn't see it or didn't react. She's a poodle, for one. But, and then they said, well, she was too calm for, like, this to happen. Or they're so critical, but it's like, I've offered to take any test anybody wants to pay, like drug test, psych evaluation, lie detector test, whatever I need to do. But I want to prove to the courts, not to people, that these things exist, because people are dying, and it's not okay. What if that was your child?
Oh yeah, you're not going to prove it to the skeptic, no matter what you do. If you get the next PG film, something that good, it's not going to prove it to them until the mainstream media or their government or whoever tells them that it's real. I mean, that's the only way it's going to happen.
And still, people won't believe it because they don't want to believe it, and that's okay. It's like they're scared, and I get it.
Yeah, that's fine. But you've done your job, I mean, you've
warned them. For sure. For
Maybe
sure. And it does traumatize kids. Like when parents will tell their child, like, "Oh, honey, that was just a dream," or if your child does come up to you and say, "Hey, like, there's something looking at me," and they're scared, please don't tell them like, "Oh, it's in your dreams," because there's so many people that are now adults and said like, "Oh, like I saw one," and basically, I've been like, I was always told as a child, I was nobody believed me, and that's so wrong, because the kid isn't getting help.
Well, so. I don't know if you watched the video where my neighbor left a letter in my mailbox, and he left it, in a few people's mailboxes because he was having troubles at his house. And some of the troubles, no doubt, was from humans, just people acting ugly, like calling the cops and stuff because his goats got out and all this and that. But then he ended up having Did you see that?
I remember you telling me. Yeah. So what happened with that? So.
Well, I mean, I went over and talked to him and everything, and he was very open-minded. It kind of surprised me because, how do you breach this subject to someone that has no clue? But I just went over and, I let him get everything off his chest and everything, and then I kind of brought it up, and, he was pretty open to it. And,
right.
I explained to him, and I showed him, some of the stuff that's happened around here, like the deer being brought in and stuff like that, different animals being brought in. We walked around his yard and found one of those gray-looking cranes dead out beside of a tree with a glyph beside of it that they had made.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah, he was kind of into it, and I need to get back up with him, and I've tried, but he's, he works and I work a different shift and all this and that, and life happens. But yeah, he was very open-minded.
If you start talking to people when you first meet someone, you shake their hand, "Nice to meet you," and then you just kind of start talking about life. What do you do for a living, or how many kids do you have? Once they know you're not crazy or whatever, then like I have no like they'll say like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Well, right now like I go and I'm investigating like the Sasquatch species," and they're like, "What? Like what?" And then it's funny because sometimes when you talk and you're confident in yourself, they're like, "Well, is that right? Like, is that what happened? Because this is what happened to me." And some people will start telling you their stories, but everybody's afraid of talking about it because they're afraid of the ridicule,
Right,
so
right. I
that's
mean, of course, if you're at a Bigfoot conference or something like that, it's fine. But just to go and meet somebody, I mean, I know. I basically did what you just said, was just, talk to him. And he was having a lot of issues, and some of it was with, the neighbors because of stuff basically out of his control, and the neighbors, instead of talking to him about it, called the cops on him, and that's just silly. That's I'm kind of ashamed that people from around here would behave like that. But we got to talking about this and that, and he got it all off his chest. And then I started. I told him, that's pretty ugly out of him and all this and that, but. Like he had a deer that was left on his fence, that one that had been, eaten on and everything else. And his daughter seen it and scared him. And, that was part of his note that he left in the mailbox. And that's one of the main reasons I went over there, because he's got 2 young kids, and he needs to know,
Of course.
Keep an eye on them youngins, because, I mean, this is... I don't know. I need to go talk to him again.
Did he leave? So did he leave a note and say, "Have you had any problems around the neighborhood?" Is that how that started?
Well, he was basically he basically left a note saying, "Be aware. This is what has happened to me recently." Basically, I mean, the guy's not from around here,
great.
And he moves in here, and he bought my great uncle's old place, and. He had goats, and I think he's got sheep and stuff like that. Well, he kept his goats pinned up, fenced in with electrical wiring or whatever. Well, something had jabbed something in the ground and cut the wire in two. You know, if a human was going to do it, they would just snip it, but it was running through like a little piece of PVC pipe, and it looked like a blunt object had been used to jab down and cut the power off, so the goats got out.
Wow.
And people called the cops or whatever on him because these goats was out in the road. Claudia, there's every night I come home, there's cows or horses or something out in the road. If it's not, deer and all that's always out in the road. So why in the world people instead of talking to your neighbor, go call the cops? I think it's just silly. Go talk to your neighbor first about it. They didn't even approach him about it. So, I mean, the guy went so far he killed all these goats. The other neighbor was talking about his dogs chasing the cats, which I guess happened a couple of times. His dogs got out and chased cats. Well, the woman's got a million cats, which I'm catching up to that right now. But one of my cats just had a bunch of babies. But anyway, the guy actually killed his dog because he wanted so bad to get along with his neighbors. You know what I mean? And that's just sad.
Oh, it's so
that's
sad.
sad. That's the dog's job is to chase a cat. That's a natural thing, right?
Of course.
So I mean, I can understand it. I mean, I can understand the frustration on both parts, but shouldn't you try to work it out before you have some kind of drastic,
measures? Of course.
I had a couple of dogs that came in here and attacked one of my ducks. That poor duck is still hurting. And man, I feel so bad for the duck. And I brought my gun out with some salt shots in it and got one of them in the tail. Yeah. They ain't been back. But I'm not sure whose dogs they belong to. But anyway, yeah, I think people ought to be aware, and I think it's great what you're doing, man. And Claudia, I'm praying for your health, man. I didn't know you was going through all that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's hard, but it's like it's definitely like I heard that I was on The View and they were like discussing me. And they didn't even say like, hey, do you want to like at least give me? Okay, this is what someone told me, and this is kind of cool. I was contacted by a guy named Michael, and that's all I could say. And he lives in Arizona, and he said, I'm in the Hollywood. I was in the Hollywood scene, and he said I'm from Los Angeles, but I had to move away because I got into the bad crowd. He's a dancer, and he said I'm a sketch artist. He goes, would you mind if I fly down and can I separate your daughters from you and like can we do a sketch of what you guys saw? I said, of course. Like, thank you so much. Had his background stuff because there's a lot of people that say they are who they are, but they're really not. Like the New York Post called me to send the DNA, and I'm like, no. And he's like, then he got really aggressive with me, and then I found out that he wasn't like from the New York Post. Yeah. So there's a lot of like, So basically, he flew out here, and then he took my daughter, the youngest, in the room, and he had like her basically describe what she saw like on the tree, and then I went in. I wasn't listening to her. I was out of the house, and then it was my turn, and we compared pictures, and it was like amazing on how the similarities of what we saw. The only difference is like her nose was wrinkled, mine was like a hooded nose. So but it's interesting. But see, I talk so much, I make the story even longer. I don't remember what I was saying. But anyway,
The View.
Oh God, I don't remember what. But so basically, if you guys, I know there's like a lot of people that have really good hearts, and my like whole goal in life is don't think about yourself, help others, and because that's what life's all about.
Person.
And I'm not trying to be
exactly.
Yeah, well, it's like if somebody's having a hard time, help them. Don't judge them. Weren't there, and it's like this world already is ugly. Let's try to make it better, for others, so. But I couldn't do it without the support of you. Like Rick, you're so awesome. Matt, Matt Squatch, and Steve Murillo. He's a president of UPARS, the MUFON, and he's been helping me. And so a lot of people are coming together for a good cause, and it's for our future, for our kids, And I don't know what's going to happen to our world, but we all can like agree that like the weather's been really crazy. Like there's a lot more sightings. There's a lot more creatures now. There's a rake. There's a Dogman. There's Sasquatch. So something is happening, and we can't just pretend like nothing's happening. But all I ask is if you guys can please go to when your like support group comes in your state, please attend so you can help others with it. So, and don't feel ashamed of what you've seen because you're not crazy. Who cares if somebody laughs at you or like mocks you? Who cares? You know in your heart what you've seen. It doesn't matter,
Yeah,
and that's what you have to focus.
The joke's on the end.
Yeah. For sure. And if anybody knows, like, families that don't really, like, watch their kids, because some parents kind of suck. I'm just going to say, like, some parents are like, yeah, like,
Amen.
2 years old, go ahead and play outside, or whatever. Like, I mean, I'm a very protective mom, obviously, but if you know of a parent that doesn't watch your kids and live near the woods, say, hey, you should kind of keep a close eye on your kid. There's been, don't scare them and say there's been, like, creatures taking kids or whatever, but just maybe warn them and say, hey, there's, like, things out there that you might want to watch your kid a little closer, just things like that. But so if you guys could do that, that would make a difference, So there is things that people could do for free or whatever. So, but and there's no expert. I'm not an expert. This is just my opinion, which means nothing, But so we'll see where this is going to take us, But
yeah, but your opinion
so
is given through experience, and you're a good, decent, honest person, and someone that I love.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
Do you still upload videos to your channel? Or you do mostly Facebook, right?
I just do yeah, I don't have time for a YouTube channel. And I feel bad because I can't keep up with my messages. I can't.
Would it be okay if I put your Facebook in the description of this video?
No, okay. No, well, everything on my Facebook is there. Like the videos my daughter took that day of the creatures is there. Like, basically, it's like a blog of my life of what's happening. Like, pictures of, like, the government coming to my house. Just everything that's going on. So this is what's happened. So personal, like, my ex-husband took me back to court to take away my children because he said I endangered my children because I took in a dangerous area and the kids are traumatized now because of me. So I basically represent myself. He has attorneys, I don't. And then I said to the judge, on your honor, I come with nothing but respect to you in the courts. But do you think seriously that I had a meeting with the Sasquatch and said, hey, I'm going to bring out my girls like on March 27th around 7:30 at night. Can you come and surround yourself around them? Like, and she started laughing. So the best thing of this is like his attorney said, Your Honor, she's mentally unstable. Like, she has this unusual hobby, and then he put in quotation marks, it's Bigfoot. She thinks they're... And apparently, her kids, like, were around them, and they're traumatized now. But he doesn't, like, tell the judge. First of all, they went on the hike, and her daughter is the one that filmed it, not her. You know what I mean? So basically, I'm asking them, so are you saying that when a mother goes out with her children and they have a Bigfoot encounter, that she's now unstable and her kids should be taken away? Or is that what you're saying? And so basically the judge laughed and she said, she took off her glasses and she looked at my ex-husband and the attorney. And she said, I saw a Bigfoot documentary. And she said, I believe they're real. They could be real. Are you calling me mentally unstable? And I literally saw, like, Jesus, like, shine a light. I'm like, oh my God. Because I honestly, you guys, I wanted to throw up and pass out because my kids are my life. And if I lose my kids, it's like they're my life. They're older now, of course, but, I got my daughter's permission. Is it okay with you guys if I take this to court? Because I know that they're going to make fun of you at school if you can't handle it. Like, you guys come first before anything. And they said, no, Mom, like, we would be disappointed if you didn't help people. Like, we want you to help people. So I have their support, and that's all that mattered.
Amen.
But I've been going to court this full entire year with custody, with, like, he's trying to take away spousal support because I have a boyfriend at Brown. So, and they think that we live together. So basically, they're like, he's saying, well, they cohabitate, so I'm going to take spousal support away. So I have been going to court, like, every 3 months. So it sucks, but it is what it is,
Well, if anybody's interested, you have PayPal, right? If anybody's interested in helping with the DNA, I'll link that. Send it to me, and I'll link it to this video, and then maybe link your Facebook if you want.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It won't go towards me. It'll go towards like the court case or the meeting, the PTSD meetings, and I have a different account for that. So like, this is not anything personal that I'm doing for myself. So I just want you guys to know I'm not suing for money. I'm not suing to be famous because you look like a nut to 90% of the public. It's not easy.
Yeah,
So I got to work with Josh Bates. That was fun.
You're a busybody, and you're all the time going to other people's places and helping them out, and Yeah, I've got nothing but respect for you. I think you're a great person.
Thank you. Thank you. So I appreciate what you guys do too. So you guys are awesome. So are you there?
Yeah, I don't know what the noise is.
Oh, good. My phone's ringing. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear that or not. But I don't want to. I know it's late for you guys, but I want to say thank you guys for listening to my blah blah blah. And I know I talk fast or whatever, but thank you so much.
We thank you for filling us in. So
no, of course. And Rick, you have my number. You can call me whenever you want. And if I don't answer, it's because I'm working, but I'll call you back. Sure.
I want to hear more about the view.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if anybody's messaged me and I haven't got on Messenger. It's just I work and I've been sick and I've been going to court. I've also been traveling, so I'm not. It's not that I'm ignoring. We'll get to you eventually.
Oh, I totally get that. I try not to aggravate people on Messenger. I know how it is, man. Sometimes you just don't want to sit in front of a computer all the time and. Like it's springtime and I want to get outside and play.
I know. But I love you guys, all of you, and you guys are all awesome. Thank you for supporting Woodbugger because he's helped me so much. When I've called him like wanting to get, he's like encouraged me and said, "Come on, we have faith in you. You could do it." So a big thank you to you because I love you so much. You're like a brother to me, and you guys are all awesome. So that's my puppy. But anyway, you guys, thank you so much for listening and. If you need some help, feel free to contact me on Facebook. And if I don't get back to you, I promise you I will. But it might take me a little bit, but I'll get back to you. But so thank you so much for having me on your channel.
Well, I thank you for calling and filling us in on the latest. We'll have to do it again.
Your help.
All right, Claudia. Well, thank you very much.
Really quick, if you guys find hair, the most important thing is if you can, kind of. Cover your face as much as you can. Get tweezers, and if you can get sterile ones, even better. And then do not put it in a plastic bag at all. You put it in a paper bag, and then you on an envelope, and you seal it. If you can find tissue with it, that's even the best. So some people put it in plastic bags, and that's a big no-no. It'll ruin the specimen. Just so you guys know.
I hear some people use sticks and leaves to collect it with.
Yeah, that's also very good. I mean, yeah.
At least that's how I done.
And then another thing, if you guys want Sasquatch hair, you get duct tape, and then it's double-sided, the sticky tape, and you wrap it around 7 feet up in the tree. You wrap it, and then you put bacon grease on the very top of the tape. So when they're reaching up to grab some bacon grease that they love, then they pull, and then there's hair on there. That's a trick, and then you can kind of see, deers aren't 7 feet tall or whatever, but. So, you guys, it's just a little. So anyway, but thank you guys so much and have a wonderful night.
All right, Claudia. We love you. And prayers.
I love you so much. Okay, have a good night, you guys.
Good night.
Thank you so much. Good night.
All right, Claudia Ackley, ladies and gentlemen, good person. And again, I will put her Facebook and PayPal underneath this video so y'all can check out some more of her stuff. Somebody's in trouble. What's going on? But anyway. Oh wow, D's live. Okay, I'm going to end this and go check out DDoS. Everybody have a